if I'm a fan of the cracks and pops and bangs, but it's definitely an improvement over stock. We're here today with 034 at Sacramento Raceway, and they're here attempting to hit 9s in their TTRS, but they've also brought this gem, this land yacht, as some like to call it. Usually the RS7 takes the title as the land yacht because it's so large and powerful. But we have another vessel here with us. It's called the B9 S4, and we're gonna let Nick here from 034 kind of take it over and kind of explain to us what's going on, what they've done with it so far, and what's on this vehicle. Nick, please, I'll just get out of your way.
Yeah, so I mean, the B9 S4, it's not exactly taken off as fast as the RS3 market might have, but there's a few reasons to that, but it doesn't mean it's not a good car. So we at 034 have spent the last 2 years developing products for this car and the B9 A4. They share the same platform. So we've been working very extensively on chassis modifications in terms of suspension, bracing, lowering springs, sway bars, things of that nature, drivetrain inserts and things to lock down the way the car puts the power down and drives through a corner, so inserts, mounts, etc. Finally moving on to power modifications, things that'll help you get more power. So on our B9 A4, we have our stage 2 tune and stage 1 tune coming very shortly. Intakes and resonator deletes available for that, as well as high flow cats. And on our B9 S4, which we have here, our newly released X34 carbon fiber intake, along with what you might be able to see in the back is our upcoming high flow catted downpipe. That's a full stainless steel unit. That in conjunction add just around 30 to 40 horsepower on a factory tune alone. Yes, you get the check engine light, but as tuning is becoming more involved, which we're delving into, that will be a problem. Won't be a problem for very long. So yeah, that's pretty much the car right now. As it sits, it's running a development piggybacked ECU that we're working on while we are working on our ECU tuning, just to kind of hold the market over, as well as our high flow intake, downpipe, and our entire line of suspension modifications.
So explain to me the intake now. You guys have been developing this for a while. Have you guys done any dyno testing? Obviously with the limits in the ECU, it's hard to really drive a lot of power out. Right. But what are the initial, let's say, benefits of the carbon intake that you guys have developed?
So the key with an intake, you're not going to look at it as adding horsepower. You are increasing flow and reducing pressure drop. Pressure drop is basically a vacuum being created inside the intake because it can't suck enough air through. So what we're doing with our designs here is reducing pressure drop. We're allowing the intake, or the engine, to get as much air as it physically wants and requests for the tuning. So with this unit here, you'll actually see that it pulls from the fresh air duct, like the factory unit, through the grill, up and through the top, giving you nice front clean cold air. Dives right into our very large air box, where there's a 5-inch inlet on the inside here with a very large filter. But it's also open on the inside up along the engine bay. That allows there to be, no negative pressure. It's almost an open box of sorts, while still reducing the amount of hot air taken in from the engine bay, taking in the fresh air, but still allowing the intake to breathe as much air as it would like.
Now, Nick, is this available yet for purchase?
Yes, so this just was released last week. The box and tube unit are $730, and the fresh air duct, I believe, is either $195 or $295. I have to check my numbers on that. You can be bought separately or together. This does have a marginal increase in gain and performance. It's mostly to match the intake box, which is why we sell them separately, in case you just want the main intake box and an increaser right there.
Now explain to me, Nick, I know a lot of the stuff that you guys have been working on are not just in the engine bay. What have you done alongside the chassis that really people can't see? What's right going on with this car?
So this is currently running our Dynamic Plus lowering springs, which are specifically made for the S4, along with our upper adjustable track spec camber arms, basically. So they're the control arm system on an S4 is a lot different to an RS versus while it's on the factory like RS car, it's a McPherson style, so it's the strut bolted right to the knuckle. This uses what's called multi-link, so it's 5 different arms themselves all linked together to guide the suspension up and down. So what you want on these cars to change camber and caster is the upper adjustable control arms. These are our track spec units, which will allow you to gain more negative camber for better track driving. and we also have camber correcting units for bringing it back to factory specification after you've lowered the car. That gains a ton of turn-in grip and driving feel through the steering wheel. Behind all of that is our track pack sway bar kit. So we sell a normal rear sway bar for a street driver. It's a solid increase in stiffness and size. But what really comes into light is our track pack sway bar, which is a combination of an even larger rear bar paired with a gigantic front bar. It's a common misconception that if you add a front sway bar, you're going to get understeer. That's not true. So long as you implement it properly with the proper supporting modifications, you're going to get an amazing turn-in and feel a great mid-corner grip and even some oversteer coming out of the corner, which, you know, we like.
Now, when you said about supporting equipment, can you elaborate a little bit on that, or maybe something that you guys are working on, something that's down the line? Supporting equipment would be, you know, if you're running entirely factory suspension and add in just a front sway bar, that's going to be a bit of a problem. The track pack sway bar kit actually has its own rear sway bar separate from the regular rear sway bar that we sell. It's fitted specifically for the front sway bar that we offer. That way, when they're paired together, they work more optimally. If you were to use a regular old rear sway bar or a factory rear sway bar on a front sway bar, it's not going to be as optimal as you'd like. So all of our suspension modifications for this platform are released, available right now on our website, and you know, it's all you need to make this car an absolute track monster. Now, are we allowed to talk about what you guys got going electronically with the ECU? Can we hint on that? Is there something that we can chat about? We can talk about it. Obviously, tuning has been unlocked. It's not like most people think it would be. It's still in a very beta stage as far as the flashing goes. So currently it is just from the ECU itself. So the car needs to be present, the ECU needs to be present, and it gets flashed on a bench. Now, as time progresses, flashing will be implemented, but right now it's in a very, very early stage of development. So this car is not running our development tune today. That still requires a lot of time in base calibration and development. Today it's running our piggyback ECU that we've been working on for the past year or so before tuning was available. So when it's not running the piggyback ECU, it's sitting on the dyno, getting its base calibration set up, and hopefully in the next couple weeks here we'll have a nice rolling example to get a little more testing done. That's awesome. And you know, I've driven one of these bone stock when they first came out. Good friend of mine picked one up. Didn't really mod it too much now, but I'm curious to see what this feels now with just the suspension upgrades, let alone obviously the power that's going to come as you guys unlock the ECU. So we have a little bit of time and we have a good amount of open road. Nick, I say we're not that far away from Mexico. Maybe we take a little trip. Yeah. You in the mood for tacos?
Yeah, dude, I'm always hungry.
Yeah, I'm always hungry. Let's go grab some tacos. We're gonna go for a drive with Nick here with their B9 S4 from 034, and we'll take a little trip to Mexico, see how she feels. I mean, a land yacht with a whole bunch of suspension mods, slight power upgrade. I'm curious to see what it feels like. I had a B8.5 S4 that was stage 2 and I loved it. Didn't do too much suspension mod on it, but I want to see what the difference is now with the B9 to see if it actually feels like a sports car as an S4 should. So let's take a trip with Nick in the car now and see how she feels. So we're inside the 034 B9 S4 development car here with Nick. We're going to take it for a spin. Initial impressions on how she feels with the newly installed and freshly developed suspension parts. Again, I drove one of these bone stock when they came out, and obviously now I used to have a B8 S4, and I know that they're very large but potentially quick vehicles. The B9, I was very skeptical. Even though everything's updated, it's a very beautiful car, I wasn't looking to pick up another land yacht, you know, being that I picked up the RS3. But I won't lie to you, now that the ECU is unlocked, development has been kicked off, parts are being made for it, and that's why I'm here. I'm inside this car to take it for a spin and see what, one, a little bit pepped up and with some suspension upgrades is going to feel. So without further ado, we're going to take Nick for a little spin to Mexico, go get some tacos.
Sounds good to me.
We might even just cut the tacos out of the video and just stick the driving to Mexico.
I don't look good when I eat. We don't need to see that.
All right, so let's go for a quick drive, shall we? And she's in drive.
Yeah, so you know how this works. It's
well, when I did it, okay, I'm just leaving it in sport.
There you go.
At least. So, for those of you guys that want a little update, all the new Audis now have the same kind of shifter that the R8 did when it first debuted here in the States in 2017. So it's very weird. Even though you put it in drive, you still have to take it out of the parking brake because it's always in neutral. To me, it's very foreign, and to me, it's very different. But I won't lie to you, I kind of like it. It actually looks like a boat shifter if you look at it from the corner.
I mean, it fits. It's a boat.
Yeah, pretty much it's a Lenya. And I'll show you guys a quick video or a quick picture of the actual interior if you haven't seen it before.
You can't actually drive through the parking brake. It disengages once you get on the throttle.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of like a safety feature.
Yeah. If you forget to turn it off.
It's like an anti-Malaka feature. In case you don't realize, if you're Malaka, it's gonna loosen up the e-brake for you.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna get out of this parking lot real quick. We're leaving Sacramento Raceway. We're just gonna go down to Mexico's really close by Sacramento. I don't know if you guys know the geographics, but we found a really close and very fast route to Tijuana.
Yeah.
From Sacramento, so that's where we're gonna go now.
You're in sport mode right now, which means that the mag ride dampers are in their stiffest setting.
Got it. And obviously we're going through pretty rough terrain,
right.
So we're gonna feel it a little bit more. It's gonna be a little bit more reactive.
Absolutely. If you hear a little clunking from the rear, we're running our track pads. This car was at Laguna Seca 2 days ago, and they don't use pad springs, so they fall back and forth a smidge. You really only hear it at low speed.
So we're gonna go ease into it. So in sport, half throttle. You know, Javad, the owner of 034, had mentioned, you know, the B9 S4 reacts a little bit more like Audi should, and that's a little bit more smooth, refined. You're actually feeling like you're in a cultured vehicle as opposed to the RS3 that's just really raw and very Golfish.
Correct. Yeah. The RS3 and TTRS share the same MQB platform that Volkswagen uses for the Golf GTI, Golf R.
No, don't say that out loud. No, the RS3 is very unique.
Sorry.
It has nothing like a Volkswagen. Guys, RS3 is...
It's not a Jetta. No, but because of that, it does garnish some similar handling characteristics and capabilities. This is more true to a classic Audi in terms of multi-link suspension and a little more of a, I guess, smoothed out driving feel. We'll go ahead and go straight a little bit. There's some roads with corners. Yeah, so because of that, it's going to be a little more refined than an RS3 would be, or a TTRS would be. But don't mean that's not good at handling, because it has such a complex suspension system, it's able to, you know, soak up bumps and imperfections in the roads a little better than a McPherson style would, making it almost a little more engaging to drive in a very weird way, given the fact that it's got a little more electronics than an older Audi.
Bump. Oof. Now I have to give you that. So I'm not a huge fan of MagRide. I drove Hank's car before he went fully built, and it had the MSS lowering kit on it, and it was MagRide, and I just wasn't happy. I was just always used to a conventional suspension setup with a shock spring and all that other jazz and nothing electronic. And plus I didn't want anything on the vehicle that could fail or anything electronic that I had to deal with if I ever wanted to do coilovers. But now, I mean, my B8 never had MagRide and had conventional suspension, but this feels, maybe in a larger vehicle, this is probably why I like it. It just feels, I don't know, it's like cumbersome. It feels very, like it's holding you, you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
You can get on it when you want to, but you're not actually feeling every bit of the road. But with your parts now, that on the suspension bits that we spoke about before getting into the vehicle, it kind of feels a little sporty. It feels almost like a little hint of a race car a little bit. Kind of lets you know it's ready to boogie.
Yeah, it definitely does increase more of that tactile feel. You're hearing, you know, the road, especially when you're running our track spec camber arms, and you know this car's running PS4S's, which is a summer tire that's a little loud, and you'll likely be hearing our downpipe with the factory catback. It adds a little more noise, a little more.
Yeah, I'm getting some noises now as I'm using the manual to kind of, I mean, DSG. I'm using the DSG to downshift. Not manual.
This is actually a ZF8 box, so it's a conventional torque converter automatic.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It is a new ZF8. Now, some people are very opinionated about that.
What are they saying?
That it's sluggish, doesn't have the downshifts like a DSG would, and all of that's true. It's not going to be as fast as your conventional double clutch like the DQ500 might be.
Now, do you think that might be a limiting factor with making power with this car, with the ZF? You think it'll be able to hold?
I think it'll be able to hold. It's a very similar unit used in the RS5.
Okay.
And you'll see that RS7s of older generations use ZF boxes that make a good amount of power as well. Obviously, tuning will need to be done to adjust for the added power, but all of that's already unlocked. So now if you go ahead and give it a little juice.
She's got some good pickup on her. And I won't lie to you, she feels... So let me ask you, the B8 was a DSG car, correct?
Yes, that was a DL501 7-speed DSG. This is a ZF8 8-speed automatic.
This feels pretty good. And she gets up and goes right. So this is all just with your basic kind of software piggyback stuff that you just have just for kind of getting calibration. So this is not even tuned all the way, correct, or even halfway.
Correct. Yeah, this is a piggyback unit. This is something that we've been developing in the meantime while waiting for you know, ECU tuning to be a little more capable.
Yeah.
Now that that's available, that's been our main focus. This unit itself is in final testing.
And the one thing I like to, obviously now all the newer Audis are their signature digital dashboard that's on here that kind of makes you feel like you're in a really expensive race car-esque feel. And that's what kind of sold me on the RS3 really, was not only the fact that it came with a 5-cylinder and all the gizmos and gadgets, was that it had a digital dashboard. So you got all the electronics. This is decked out like Darth Vader's bathroom. It looks beautiful. You got carbon, all the jazz, and you got some noise coming out of the car too as I'm getting on its second gear.
Stay flat all the way through this corner, and you'll see what I mean when I talk about those track spec sway bars.
The rear end is not even budging. Okay, so that was 40 miles an hour.
Yes, yeah. Maybe 45.
Oh wow. So you know, I tell you right now, at that speed, I'd be very hesitant of going around a turn like that. And you guys will see now in our forward camera what kind of turn that was. It didn't look, it's gonna look not as gradual, it's gonna look pretty smooth, but in a large car like this, you don't want to take a turn like that, and it just felt planted down to the ground. And you guys say you guys take this to the track. Which track do you guys frequent with this?
This car was at Laguna Seca 2 days ago. It sees Thunderhill fairly often, Sonoma Raceway now and again as well. So it's fairly well set up for high horsepower fast tracks that have a mixture of high speed sweepers and low speed, you know, tight carvers. So this car itself does really, really well in low speed corners like you wouldn't understand. It's smooth and strong in a high speed corner like you'd expect it to be. But for me, it surprises me even more in a low speed corner where you don't think it should be carrying 65 miles an hour through, you know, 30.
Yeah,
And it doesn't do it, it does it without fanfare. It holds just fine. And then when you need to get on the brakes.
Yeah, that's what I did it on purpose to.
Right.
So I've never seen a land yacht stop like that. That's pretty good. I mean, if some of you guys might have modified your B8s to have aftermarket braking and better suspension, I never did it. So to me, this is a huge step up from my B8. Now, I won't lie to you, the B8 had a really beautiful sound. It does. I had really great exhaust system, and I was very happy with it. But just driving this now, first impressions, obviously there's no review here now on long distance driving and how it feels, but I was told there are some seat massagers here.
Yes. If you go ahead and walk your hands down over to the side of your seat, right above the fore aft adjuster, you'll see that little thing pop up here. And you've got 3 modes. So that when you're cruising to the racetrack, you can go ahead and stay massaged. Or if you're on a relatively easy track, like Laguna Seca, which is fairly easy in this car, maybe you want the wave.
Someone's touching my butt right now. I like it while I'm driving a car. So I'll show you guys a quick. Again, this is not an accessory or a feature that 034 installed. This comes factory in the Audi. But imagine having a track spec car. And by the way, the RS7 came with a similar feature. Obviously, that one's probably a little outdated, being that this car is brand new. But at the track, when you're going through turn 3, now you have your own personal masseuse to kind of help you, you know, enjoy the ride as if these seats weren't uncomfortable. These are great seats.
Yeah, and being that they're a wing back and they have adjustable side and butt bolsters,
yeah,
they can grab you a little further while still getting a massage.
Yeah, and I'm a big guy too, and I feel great sitting in the car. Listen, I'm a big guy. I'm larger than your average Joe.
I understand.
Yeah, okay. Nick weighs like 50 pounds soaking wet. If we open up the window, Nick's gonna fly out like a napkin. But but this feels really good, guys. I'm really excited to see what you guys do now with added power. And hold on, I'm gonna hold the. Let me stop talking here for a second. You guys hear that?
Drop it into third.
Yep. Ooh, that feels good. Yep.
Get on the
camera was in the way. professional driver here, guys. He wasn't instructing me at all. I knew what to do. I'm skilled. I'm a YouTuber. This is in my blood.
So something that this car has that I personally find it to be, you know, so much of a difference over a Haldex car is the torque vectoring rear diff. So you'll find if you got on the gas mid-corner there,
you would have spun it around?
No, not that it would spin it around. It's going to pull you closer into the apex. It's not going to wash out. It's going to want to bring you closer into where you want to be in the corner. It's going to help you drive through. It's a weird feeling of using the throttle to help you come in. It's something that's not normal or conventional in an all-wheel drive car. So if you do the same corner again and you lift mid-corner and you bring it in, it's going to love it.
All right. Challenge accepted. We're still in Tijuana, so
yeah,
let it go and then just
stay on
it. Yeah, no shit. Okay, that was the 35 miles an hour. Yeah, the car feels okay.
She's simply planted.
Now let me ask you something, and again, I know you guys are in a lot of competition with obviously other businesses and shops, so I don't know if this is this information we can't talk about, then let me know, Nick, but obviously you guys have developed parts because you've seen a need to develop these suspension parts.
Right.
Now for the average enthusiast out there that hasn't modified their car and they want to take it to the track, and there's quite a few people that do that, what kind of carnage did you guys see from the stock parts? You know, from let's say 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 track days, simple stuff, right, that drove you guys to develop the parts that you guys developed?
I think the biggest components on this car for factory driving is first tires. That's a very overlooked modification.
Got it.
These tires, the factory tires, will fall apart with 1 track day usage. So if you're looking for spirited driving, track tires, good brake pads, and good brake fluid, those are your first 3. Do not neglect them.
I just want to point it out as a counter to that. My Pirellis on my RS3 were the best, man. Best tires ever. No,
yeah, they guide you right into curbs.
That's exactly what happened. And what else when it comes to suspension parts were you guys looking at?
Yeah, so I mean, the other thing with factory rubber and suspension units is that there's a lot of voids to help absorb different side-to-side movement and things like that. But that does leave room for improvement as far as handling goes.
Got it.
So while we didn't see degradation in such a short period of time of those components, being that it's a very similar platform to the B8, we know that can be expected over time.
Got it. You knew the key components that you had to, at least initially, kind of knock out.
Exactly. So as far as failure points here, I wouldn't be too concerned with a factory car taking it on the track. We obviously baseline all of these cars. We find points in which they should be upgraded and optimized from, but nothing that I would be concerned about falling off or snapping at a track.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
You know, and the thing is, it pulls you back in a different way. It's got a...
Well, it's a controlled back.
It's like a whisking away.
Yeah, it's like, so it's taking off like a rocket, but you're being cushioned by like 30 hands currently massaging my back and my butt. Right now, my butt's getting all the attention. Right. And it feels good. Again, the B8 was a great car. Obviously, this is light years now ahead with all the new tech. The digital screen, the heads-up display that they have here in the seats, and obviously now you guys knowing exactly what parts to attack. I prefer this feel over what my B8 with stock suspension feels. Oh, there's this. The massager just kind of kicked in a little bit there. I don't know if I'll edit that out. If it stays in, guys.
Takes your breath away.
It does. That was. We might need some alone time here, guys. We might see some alone time. But I'll tell you now. Yeah, this thing feels pretty planted. And is this thing larger than the B8 was, or is it relatively the same size?
It's fairly longer. I think the overall number, the internet's going to correct me, I think it's like 4 inches longer in wheelbase. Now I've parked this next to a C7 S6, and there's maybe an inch or 2 difference in overall length bumper to bumper. So it's a fairly large car, but it's almost more impressive in the fact.
So we're going to do a quick launch. How are we going to do this?
So
show me how it works.
You're already traction control sport, which is good. You're in S mode for the transmission. You put your left foot all the way on the brake, all the way down, and then right foot all the way onto the gas. It's going to come up to right around 3,000 RPM, and you'll watch your boost come in right there. And once it's right around halfway, you can go ahead and set it. There you go.
Did it just put it in? Did my phone just put it in drive?
Yes, it did.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. My iPhone, damn you iPhone, slid out of the cup holder and it slammed it into drive. I'm so sorry.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that before either.
Because I have a Google phone.
My phone is trying to tell me to slow the hell down.
Right.
All right, we'll do this again.
Put that again. Right here, I'll even give you a sport suspension. All right, go ahead. One more time.
Here we go. Okay, that's better. Oh. It's like a me banging the gears, like that small delay.
It throws the converter right at it.
Now, do you think is that a delay in your opinion now in the converter, or?
No, that's actually a faster, it's almost like AMAX, like an old DSG cars where it sort of slips them to make it faster in the shift itself. They tune in a bit of a burble when you shift on these cars, just because people like the kind of fart noise. But that's actually slower. So when it's in a launch mode like that, that's its fastest shift physically possible to just throw it right into the next gear.
All right, Nick, so not to get straight to business, but we were talking about some future products that you guys were working on. Where do you see this bad boy going? What's the realistic outlook of where the B9 S4 is looking to go?
So now that the handling is all kind of laid out, strong, sounds pretty good too. We do have a ResX coming for this car as well, for those that just want to do a little bit of adjustment on some audio. Our high flow catted downpipe will be coming shortly with a Euro 4 racing cat. And then the big changes here could be tuning. So, you know, where stage 1 and stage 2 and hybrid turbos take us.
Got it.
Yeah.
So wait, you said hybrid?
Yes.
So you're looking to put an upgraded turbocharger in this vehicle?
The turbo's located in a pretty good place.
Yeah, on top of the motor.
Right on top. It's a hot V twin scroll.
That was me. I'm sorry. I went over the yellow line.
It's in the right place to be examined. I'll say that much.
Okay, fair.
Where that takes us, time will tell.
Now, have you guys? And again, I don't want to hold you to anything, but again, it wouldn't be me if I wasn't asking you this on camera. Have you guys looked at the motors to see if they're stout? Do you foresee people making a good amount of power? Obviously, with the big thing with the RS3 is people making gobs of power, going fast. Obviously, this is a big lanyard. Do you guys know of the potential of this motor? Is it very similar to older generations?
So those kinds of things really can only be told once you start to work with it. It has the right recipe to make good power, but none of that's proven until you put rubber to the road, and that's kind of a thing that we have to keep in mind with our tuning and our testing, in that we got to find the limit first before you can really say what the limit is.
Very true. Fair.
These engines, you can't just look at the spec sheet and tell, oh, this is gonna make a ton of power, or look at a log and say, oh, this is gonna handle 800 wheel horsepower.
Well, I mean, if you had one with silver paint, we know that's at least 1,200 horsepower worth of potential there. But
I heard that those go in between getting sold and sitting in driveways. So, you know,
shots fired.
Yeah, like the thing with this is like there's no good way to know what kind of power is going to be peak until we start to do it. Now, initial testing is showing pretty good numbers on a stage 2 level, but these factory turbos, these twin scrolls, are pretty maxed out in the mid-range. There's stuff to be gained in the low and high range, but wastegate duty cycle's already kind of shown a little bit of sign of, okay, it's not going to be as stark of a stage 2 upgrade on, like, say, an RS3, but it's going to be substantial, and there's going to be a lot that's able to be done with these cars.
Fair.
No question.
Fair, and I'm not going to pit the two vehicles against each other. Obviously, people on the internet will, but
yeah,
they're two different chassis, two different setups. This is a rolling boat, and the RS3 is actually it's a freak of nature. That aside, so
it's a very unique model to the Audi line, for sure.
Volkswagen. I mean, Audi line. Yeah. Golf, Jetta. Damn it.
Pablo was out here once, and you're talking about Jettas.
So guys, Nick, first I want to say thank you for letting me drive your development car. This is a lot of fun. I won't lie to you, I actually this makes me miss my B8 even more, driving something that's modified in the suspension, and I really appreciate it. Obviously, you guys, the rest of the team there at 034, you guys got some really cool stuff that you guys are cooking up, and I can't wait to see more. So without further ado, Nick, I want to say thank you for your time. Thanks for letting me drive this bad boy. We're going to head back over to Sacramento Raceway. We're going to see what kind of times the 034 TTRS was hitting today against stage 2, stock turbo. TTRS shooting for 9s. I think so far you guys were nailing like 10.2.
10.2, DA sitting around mid 2200.
It was a hot day today.
It's a little warm. It's just stage 2, factory fueling, factory injectors, factory everything. It's how most people are going to be running their cars.
That's awesome.
However fast we can get it.
Well, thank you again, Nick. And guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you guys want to see more videos like this where we're actually taking little test drives and developing cars, having some fun, discussing it with some of the shop managers, the people on the floor, the techs, the guys that really know all the technical details you guys may have questions for, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let us know whether or not you like this video. Also, if you have any questions for Nick, I'll put his email down below this video. Shoot him a question, he'd be more than happy. No nudes, no nudes. We'll keep it professional and business-like. But guys, thanks for watching. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.